So today is about the 5 unity principles. And just as Paul Harvey said, we honor all religions, we honor everyone. We love everyone. This is what we were taught, and this is what unity and unity people strive to do. So the 5 unity principles, as I said earlier, are what we sort of go by as a guide in unity. In the 1800s, when Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, healed herself of a terminal disease through the power of her mind, using a prayer and meditation, her husband, Charles Fillmore, began to study all the religions because he wanted to try and figure out what was happening. He was a bit of a skeptic that she would heal herself just with her prayer and meditation. So he studied all religions for about 7 years. And he decided in that study of all religions that there was a golden thread of that which we call love and truth that ran through all religions. And so he decided when they went through the process of creating the unity movement, he decided to name it Unity, because he felt like that all churches had the same kind of base in common, which is really what we were hearing from Paul Harvey there. He discovered that God and self relationship was in all religions, and that when we are in relationship with God, that there's no lack, no need, no limits, although we all go at it from a different direction. So one of the things we realize is that we are both human and divine. And our principle number 1 is that God is absolute good and everywhere present in all things at all times. There is nowhere where God is not. God is all. God is all of it. It's in you, it's in me, it's everywhere. And we forget that when we decide to be prejudiced of other people and isolate and separate ourselves from one another. We're all created in love by the same Creator. And that's our principle number 1. We believe that what we call God and love is the same thing. God and love are the same thing. God is love. Love is spiritual energy. Love is everywhere present in all things at all times. It's our true nature. And in Genesis, the Bible tells us that we were created in the image and the likeness of that which created us. In the early part of the book of Genesis. God is spiritual energy. God is love. And truthfully, love is all there is. We just get in the way of showing it sometimes. There's no duality. It isn't God and Satan. Satan was a construct of the Persians, and it was introduced to the East about 500 years before the birth of Jesus. Up until that time, there was no duality. The Persians, they saw black and white, night and day, good and bad, right and wrong. And they decided if there was all of that, which in our material world there is, that there must be something opposite of God. And so they created Satan. In Unity, we don't believe that. In Unity, we believe there's only one power and one presence. We say it every Sunday morning. We don't think there is a Satan or an opposite of God. There's nothing leading us astray except our own lack of understanding. Because all we are is love. And God is love. So you do see duality in our material world, but as we've talked about, in our material world, things change. We live, we die, things wear out, we sell our cars and get another one. These chairs won't always be here. There'll be someday in the future when they'll have outlived their, there's always that in the material world, but there's not that in the spiritual world. So that's number one. God is absolute good and everywhere present. In everyone, in you, in me. Principle number two, all humans have the Christ Spirit within them. Their very essence is of God, and therefore they are inherently good. So principle number two, and by the way, I have the principles on sheets of paper in the back, so if you want to take one with you, they're back there for you to take as you go. But principle two, all humans have the Christ Spirit. That Christ Spirit that we talk about, in the time of Jesus, Christ was not Jesus' name. It was his title. It was a title that was bestowed upon him because of the good he did and who he was. So he was called or given the title of the Christos. And the title of the Christos was bestowed on somebody who was joyful and wise and loving and peaceful, and that's who he lived to be, and that was the title that was bestowed upon him. He was Jesus the Christ. And so we know that the very presence of those same attributes that got him entitled to be the Christos, or the Christ, are in us all. Love, truth, peace, joy, and wisdom. We all have that in us. We may not be coming from it. We may not be living it always. But those attributes are in us all. So principle number two is all humans have the Christ Spirit, the God presence within them. We are all the very essence of God, and therefore we are all inherently good. Now, we don't always act like it, and sometimes we don't even know it. But inherently good is who we are. Look at a baby. Babies are just joyful and happy all the time. They let you know if they need to eat or change a diaper, but they're happy all the time. That's who we were created to be. We were born to be loved, but love can only show up around us when we show up in love. We're here to learn that we're loved. We're here to share love and receive love. The word God in German, see, we got the word God in the 13th century. God was never called God until in the 13th century when the Gutenberg printing press was created. And of course, when Gutenberg, who was German, created the printing press, his reason for doing that was so that we would all have a Bible. He wanted every common man to have a Bible. And so he created the printing press, and the first thing he did was create a Bible. But of course he created it in German, because he was German. So he had to translate the whole Bible, and the translation for him of the word of God, which had been Yahweh and about 22 other names before that printing press was invented, he called God Got, because Got meant good. So good ended up being God. And that's where we started using the word God. And that one kind of stuck because by that time there was a printing press and there were Bibles and people could read them. And they did get translated into English and other languages. And so that's how we got the word God. But it meant good. It meant good. So when we are love in action, when we are being God in action, we are being love. We are being good. But we have to be conscious of that. We have to know that this is who we were created to be. We have to be the love. You know, in this world we live in, we go out looking for love, don't we? We look for love. You can't look for love. You have to be it. Because when you be it, you attract it. So that's principle number 2. All humans have the Christ Spirit within them. They're the very essence of God, and therefore they are inherently good. Principle number 3. We create our own experience by the activity of our thinking. Everything in the manifest world begins in thought. This chair you're sitting in began as a thought. Everything became a thought before it was manifest. This is the gift we've been given. Thoughts held in mind create after their kind. So we create from the thoughts we think. And in Unity we teach you how to think good thoughts so you get good results. Because when you think not so good thoughts, you get not so good results. So principle 3, we create our own experience by the activity of our thinking. And everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. When we can grasp the absolute truth of this, we can realize then why our love and loving others unconditionally will come back to us. Come back like a magnet. So we want to pay attention to our thoughts. We want to choose only good and kind thoughts so that only good and kind comes back to us. This is how we awaken our awareness. We live from a consciousness of knowing that we get to choose how we think, what we say, and how we live. That's a choice we make. And the gift we have from God, if you will, from that which created us, the gift we had is our choice and free will. I get to choose. You get to choose. We want to choose wisely because however we choose is what's going to show up in our world. But we want to be sure that we create our own experience by the activity of our thinking, but thinking positively. And remembering that thinking positively brings back the good to us. So we try to keep our thoughts on the good. One example of that might be that we learn that the truth of the universe is there's no lack on the planet. There appears to be lack on the planet, but there's really no lack on the planet. We can affirm a prosperous planet, we begin to see it and live it because we attract it back to us. So we want to create our own experience by our positive thoughts and by our positive choices. We want to remember, and Paul Harvey alluded to this, We're not separate from anybody else. We are all one. We were all created by the one Creator. I'm not separate from you. You're not separate from me. We were all created by the same Creator. And this thing about separating ourselves from other people is not working very well, is it? It hasn't worked very well. We want to be aware of who we are, how we think, what we attract to us, and to remember that we are and have that Christ in us, that hope of glory in us, which is love and peace and truth and joy and wisdom. We all have those things. You know you do. You have love, you have peace, you have joy, you have truth, you have wisdom. We may not be acting from them all the time. We may forget who we are from time to time. But that, nevertheless, is who we are. And to the degree that we can be aware of that and live from that is the degree to which it will come back to us. It has to. That's the quantum field. We talk about that all the time, too. So, principle number 4 is prayer and meditation heightens the connection with God-mind and brings forth the wisdom to create our positive experiences. How I get myself centered is prayer and meditation. The best way for you to get yourself centered is prayer and meditation. We forget that sometimes. We're too busy. We don't know if it works. We don't get instant results, so we quit. But prayer and meditation is our connection. It's our connection to our spirit, to the highest and best that we can be. And going into prayer and meditation brings us back to that reality. So principle number 4 is prayer and meditation. It heightens the connection with God-mind and brings forth our wisdom. You know, that still small voice that we hear about all the time is guiding us properly all the time if we both listen. So, what is the nature of God? God's not a who. Who is a pronoun, denotes the actions of a noun. So in prayer and meditation, we want to remember we're not praying to a God. That's not a person in the sky. That's what's so frustrating for us, is because if we were raised that way, then we don't know why that guy in the sky doesn't answer our prayers. The nature of God is not a noun, it's a verb. It's an action. It's an expression. It's an existence. It's an occurrence. It's in us all. It's in nature. It's everywhere. God's not a mysterious, immortal being that holds power over humans. Were you raised that way? I was. Yeah. That's not what God is. That can be very frustrating if that's how we were raised, because that can be what we're expecting. But we're never going to get that, because that is not what God is. Those are ancient ideas that have been around for thousands of years, because thousands of years ago it did appear to the ancients that there was some big guy in the sky, bigger than them, who was making the tornadoes and the hurricanes and the babies and all those things. That was some big guy in the sky, because it was the only thing they could fathom in their mind. But we know better now. We know that God is creation, God is love, God is energy, and that is in us all. We have to let go in order to be in real understanding of who God is, we have to let go of a God that has human traits like ours. Traits like jealousy and anger and revenge. You all have heard I grew up with one of those gods. Angry God, a revengeful God. Never made sense to me. I used to ask my Sunday school teacher, so why is Jesus so sweet and good and his daddy is so mean? I got kicked out of Sunday school for that. And I never got the answer. But it didn't make any sense to me. So we have to get real about how this world is created and how it works. God has no human traits. God is not going to answer our prayers or not answer our prayers or cause us harm. We stay confused when we live in that space. God is simply an energy of love. Back in the thousands of years ago, they appeased God with banquets and thanked God for their good, and that's good. I thank God for my good every day. But I'm not focused on a guy in the sky. I am focused on that which is love in this world, and that I am part of that. And when I can recognize that and live from that, it comes back to me. So, I taught this once in a Houston class, and they said, "You're trying to take my God away from me." Some lady raised her hand and said, "You're trying to take my God away from me." And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm just trying to give you a different persona." You don't have to take it, but I'm not trying to take anybody's God away from them, but I'm trying to give you an essence of what it is and who it is and how it's in us all at all times. And it's not only in us, it's in everyone. And we can really get that, we treat people better. We're no different than anybody else. We all are created by the same Creator. We need to be loving every single person. I don't care what color they are, or what country they're from, or what age they are, or anything else. We need to be loving fellow man. We are all created by the same Creator. And we have to just kind of keep reminding ourselves that this, what we call God, is a spiritual energy. Remember, we're human and divine. In our humanness, we are flawed. All of us, we're still learning. School, Earth is school. So when we came here to learn a lot. And we'll come in probably in another lifetime, if you believe in reincarnation, and we'll learn a lot more the next time. But at the same time that we're human, we're divine. And it's the divine in us that we want to become more acquainted with and honor and come from, live from. In your spiritual divinity, you can't be prejudiced against other people. It doesn't work that way. So we want to remember who we were created to be, and to realize that who everybody else was created to be is the same as us. Wouldn't that be nice if we could do that and live from that? It would sure be a heck of a lot easier in Washington. So we were born to be loved. When we know that we're born to be loved, we live from it, and it comes back to us. It's returned back to us. who we were created to be. So we don't go out looking for love. We just be it. When you be love, you're going to magnetize it back to you. We have to stay in awareness. We have to stay conscious to do that. So principle number 4 was prayer and meditation heightens the connection with God-mind and brings forth the wisdom to create positive experiences. So principle 5, knowing that the first 4 principles is not enough. It's not enough to know the first 4 principles. We have to live from them. We have to act on them. We have to live them in our daily lives. We have to remember that we are the expression of God in action. And the only thing that's missing about that is our awareness of it. Our awareness and our understanding of who we truly are guides our actions. So we want to be the love we wish to see. And we need to be aware of that as who we are. Because when we are the love, when we know we are the love, we don't look for it. We are it. We attract it back to us. So, to grasp the absolute truth of this, we have to love not only others, we have to love ourselves. I don't know how to love you until I learn how to love me. And I don't know how to teach you how to love me until I learn how to love me. So that is who we are and how we have to be in the world. We have to understand that we're all love. And that's our job, is to express the love everywhere we go. And that when we do, it is returned to us. So how we awaken our awareness is that we live daily from a consciousness of knowing that we get to choose how we live. We get to choose every day how we show up. We get to choose how we create the life we want. Whatever it is we wish to see, we get to create it. We get to do that. Choice is our given our gift of choice and free will. That's the gift we've all been given. So how we awaken to awareness is knowing that we create our life with our thinking, our believing, and our taking action. Knowing that we have a choice to believe and act from our highest truths and our highest thoughts. Knowing there's no lack on the planet. Eliminates our fear. Knowing we're not separate from others. We're not separate from each other. We're all created in love by the same Creator. Knowing that our choice and free will is absolute, so we choose wisely. But knowing that we have the ability to choose in every moment, and that what we choose, when what we choose is love, it will return to us. Then we learn to live from a consciousness of love. Now, that may take many lifetimes, because we have a lot of other things that want to pull us away from that. All of us do. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the bottom line of how and who we were created to be. And the more that we can live by these 5 principles, the more we will see our life change. Just by being. So what we have to do is become more conscious of our thoughts. What am I thinking at this moment? How am I behaving at this moment? Am I being love at this moment? Am I attracting more love back to me at this moment? If you can begin to live from these principles and that knowing that we have to walk this walk and talk this talk in our daily lives, our lives truly will change. It's amazing. All of you here in this room today are seekers. You're in this room because you're seeking. You're seeking a spiritual path. That's why you're here. And I applaud you for that. So this is our guide. This is what we teach in Unity. This is like distilling down all of the Unity teachings into these 5 principles. And we stay on that right track. That 5, knowing that the first 4 principles is not enough, we have to live by them in our daily life. Well, we have a blueprint of how to do that and how to remind ourselves of that. Because we will stumble, we will fall, we'll get back into our humanness. But you've got these principles to come back to. But when you can, as often as possible, live from these principles, they're a blueprint that can keep us on the right, on the right track. When we stumble and fall, when we have the bad days, go back to who we are as love, and how that we attract the love to us, and how that love is our choice in every moment. Prayer and meditation keep us on the path to that. When I find myself getting off the track, I have to go back and start being in my meditations again to get myself back into that place. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with you. And these principles boil down as God is, you are, thinking creates reality, prayer and meditation brings peace, and knowing all of this will take you into choosing right action. That's our 5 Unity principles. That's our basis. And like I said, I have listed them and put them on paper in the back room, so if any of you want to take one as you leave, please feel free to. All right, so let's move into a moment of reflection with that. Just move into a place of just being fully present to the moment, fully present to what we have discovered here this morning. Look at the places in our life where we could show up as love. The places in our lives where we may have been looking for love without realizing we were the very love we wish to see and to draw to us. So wherever that place is in your life, just know that you already are that. You don't have to look for it. It's already there. It's innate in you. It was created in you. All you have to do is choose it. So in all instances, you can choose love. Even in the times that we don't feel like it, the choice is always there. Love is who we are. Love is who we were created to be. know that you are and do have that Christ within you, that love, that joy, that peace, that truth, that wisdom. It's in all of us. We just have to remember it and let it be our guide. Just allow yourself to be fully present to that still small voice that is speaking to you at this moment, reminding you of who you are. Reminding you of who you were created to be. As Jesus said, love one another as I have loved you. Jesus was our master teacher, showing us how to love at all times. Love one another as I have loved you. So take that thought and that phrase into the week with you. Practice it daily. Be aware of it. Be conscious of it. Knowing that as you be the love and show up as the love, it automatically comes back to you. You are that magnet. And so for this we give thanks, for the knowing of who we are, for the choices that we have. And we commit to staying in awareness of this truth of who we are, and so it is. Amen.